there such a thing as the immune system? And if there is there anything that we can do to beef it up, to enhance it, to make it stronger?
Right. Well, certainly there is an immune system. I don't agree with exactly how it has been portrayed to us that it's based on this warfare model. I mean, all of modern medicine, it seems, and this seems to be rooted in the germ theory itself, is based on this model of warfare that, you know, we've had a war on cancer, we've had a war on drugs, right? And
Right.
the immune system fits right into that paradigm that there are things outside of us that come and invade us, and we have this army of defenders. And there's even one type of cell in your immune system that has been called a natural killer cell. So it's almost like our immune system is psychopathic, that that it's a killer's. But I think what the reality of the immune system is that it's more like the operations management and support system, that it directs resources in your body to handle virtually every situation. So this includes when there is a breach of our body's integrity, like when you get an injury or a break in the skin, that, you know, our body has the skin to protect us from things outside so that it can maintain a healthy internal environment. So the immune system does respond in those situations, and, you know, that's where it could be portrayed as somewhat of a defense system. But the immune system also coordinates various other operations, and one of its main roles actually is to locate and remove toxic substances from our body. In our modern society, we're all exposed to so many, I mean, thousands of substances from a variety of sources, from processed food, from pesticides and herbicides used in food, from industrial contaminants and heavy metals in our water supply, to air pollution, both outdoor and indoor, to the chemicals used in cleaning products, in personal hygiene products, our laundry, synthetic plastics used to make textiles for our clothing that have been demonstrated to leach chemicals into our body. So in our modern era, we're actually assaulted with toxic substances, and the immune system plays a vital role in helping clean those out of our body. And I think that one of the keys to maintaining health is actually to support our immune system's ability to remove those toxins.
Put out all these scientific papers, and I put them in categories of wellness. So here's all these different wonderful studies isolating one specific element of wellness, and it ended up with 7 different categories. So I had these piles, 7 different piles, and I put them together in a mnemonic so that I could remember what they were. And you had to eat correctly, and you had to sleep correctly, and you had to supplement where you had a deficiency or supplement your foods. Then you had to neutralize toxins in your own environment. Then you had to drink clean, pure water and eliminate stress. I laid these all out, and it was like a boggle game for just a minute. I put them together in a mnemonic. ESSENCE, and it became the essence of wellness. Eat, sleep, supplement, exercise, neutralize toxins, clean water, and eliminate stress were my categories of wellness. And I started applying that to me. I started using that just for my wellness. I started sharing that with my friends. I started sharing that with people who came to me professionally. And you know what? We found that if you do just one of those, that you're going to get a benefit to the immune system. So I started studying the immune cells. And I took human and mouse models both so that there wasn't any conflict. And I took them out there, and I know this sounds funny, but I put them both on a treadmill. Yeah, mice. On a mouse treadmill, we could measure how much time, how long, their intensity, their duration, all of that stuff. And when we exercised mice, we found that their immune system activated and mobilized by about 37%, just from that exercise. So we found different kinds of exercise made the immune system better at functioning, better at neutralizing poisons, better at regenerating tissues. That was valuable, but then we added to it one of the ESS-ENCE components. We chose to add a supplement. So we gave the humans and the mice a ginseng supplement. It's just a mild tonic, and we wanted to see if something would benefit the immune system. So not only did we exercise them, but we also gave them a supplement, and this time they had a 255% increase in natural killer cells, the immune cells that defend you against disease. And I thought, this is starting to look like compounding interest at the bank. I'm starting to go, if I exercise and then I add to it a supplement and I eat correctly and I get a good night's sleep, every single one of those starts to give me exponential benefits to the function of my immune system.
Drinking pure water will help your immune system in a number of ways. The first thing is the biggest sort of organ in the immune system is your digestive tract, and so optimizing the fluid you take on board, both in terms of hydration status and a lack of other toxins, like other chemicals in it, will allow your bowel to function properly. And that's the first line of defense. That's the first component of your immune system. I think on top of that, the chemicals that you might consume in your from other sources of water potentially will affect immune cell function. So one of the things that we are concerned about is ensuring that our immune cells function absolutely optimally. They're going to function absolutely optimally if you're properly hydrated, and if, on top of being properly hydrated, that you're not consuming fluids that have other chemicals or other things that your immune system then has to deal with, so that then it's available to fight bugs and do the other activities that it's really been set up to do. So for me, I always get people to think about their water and the purity of their water first, and then I will get them to think about the quality of their food as a secondary thing. And once you've got good quality and good pure water and a high quality, preferably organic type of diet, then on top of that, you can then start to say, well, what additional supplementation would you need? So for me, using supplements just as a quick fix is a really inappropriate way to do things. So when I deal with athletes and people who care about their nutrition and so forth a lot, what I say is get your water as high quality as you possibly can, get your food as high quality as you possibly can, and once you've done that, let's then see what additional things you'll need, because you'll get most of what you need from the water you drink and from the foods that you eat.
There's clear, obvious, copious amounts of evidence that a diet that causes blood sugar spikes in you or chronically high blood sugar readings is going to impair and muck up each step of your innate immune system's ability to fight off both bacterial and viral infections. Therefore, if you eat a diet that does not lead to any blood sugar spikes or chronically high blood sugar levels, you are absolutely optimizing your immune system's ability to not only detect infection early, but to detect infection properly, to fight that infection vigorously, and ultimately to win. There absolutely is a diet like this that you can enjoy that's full of delicious foods that will not spike your blood sugar and therefore will optimize your immune system's ability to protect you. It's actually a spectrum of foods that I call the proper human diet. It ranges from an ovo-lacto-pescatarian low-carb diet all the way up to a carnivore diet full of fatty red meat and eggs and butter. All these diets will protect you from the blood sugar spikes that cripple your immune system's ability to fight off viruses and bacteria. I've seen this diet return people's blood sugar levels completely back to normal. People who were pre-diabetic, who had type 2 diabetes, even people with type 1 diabetes, when they eat one of these diets, they can have normal blood sugar readings, which makes all of their cells function optimally, including the cells in their innate immune system.
So without further ado, let's see all the food that we can take to help us. First and foremost, the most important food at this time is vitamin C. Linus Pauling, 2 times Nobel laureate, has said that vitamin C can help us protect against cold, cough, flu and other infections. Try to consume a lot of fruits and vegetables during this time. Cooking destroys the vitamin C. Anything that is raw is rich in vitamin C. Citrus fruits like lemon, oranges, grapefruit are rich in vitamin C. Second is probiotics. Our body harbors billions of bacteria, virus, fungi which exist in symbiotic relationship with us. Like we see all these microorganisms and pathogens outside, more number of microorganisms live inside our body. These so-called good bacteria and good microorganisms help our body in various processes. If we can boost the number of the good bacteria in our body, will help us fight against the bad bacteria and virus which may attack our body. Good sources of probiotic are yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, pickles. You can also take over-the-counter probiotics to replenish your gut bacteria, especially if you have recently taken a course of antibiotics. Also, another way to boost our good bacteria in the body is by consuming food rich in fiber. Fruits and vegetables are good source of fiber that will help keep our gut bacteria healthy. Number third, soups and stocks. During this time, try to consume vegetable soup, chicken soup, broth, stock. Broth is a valuable food at this time. The very process of cooking a bone over a period of time helps to get the collagen and hyaluronic acid from the bones, which help fight against infection. For those who are vegetarian, vegetable soup made with turmeric, ginger, garlic, onion and fresh herbs is a good alternative. Fourth is cod liver oil. Cod liver oil has been used for the last 1000 years in Europe and many other countries. Cod liver oil is rich in vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. Regular consumption of cod liver oil can help boost up your immunity and fight against numerous infections. Fifth point is saturated fat. During this time, increase your consumption of saturated fat. Saturated fat and fat soluble vitamins help your body fight against infection. Make sure that you eat good quality fat, which are fat from coconut, avocados, palm oil, fat from organic grass-fed meat, egg and organic dairy. 6 is honey and bee pollen. Honey is rich in antioxidants and nutrients which helps in boosting immunity. Local raw honey is very crucial as it can boost immunity and fight against bacteria and viruses in the local environment. Try to have 1 teaspoonful of honey every day, either in tea or in warm water. Honey will boost your immunity, and honey has been used for last many thousand years and a part of many natural alternative medicines to fight infection. 7th is onion and garlic. Onion and garlic belong to the family Allium. Many traditional medicines use onion and garlic for their ability to kill germs. Onion and garlic boost the immunity in our body by generating heat, which can be used to kill the pathogens. Lastly, vegetables. Vegetables and plant-based products are an excellent source of antioxidants. Whenever germs attack our body, the germs create free radicals in the body. Vegetables, they contain phytochemicals which helps the body fight against the free radicals. Vegetables are rich in antioxidants which boost our immunity and protect the body to fight against cancer and other infections. Try to have as many vegetables as you can in your diet. Try to choose vegetables from different colors. Green vegetables like broccoli, kale, spinach are excellent source. Vegetables red in color like beet, carrot. Make sure not to overcook the vegetable. If you cook it more, then the lot of vitamins and nutrients get destroyed in the cooking process. In summary, following a healthy lifestyle has become very crucial. Try to have a healthy, balanced diet. Try to have a diet rich in proteins, fat and vegetables. Try to avoid or minimize the consumption of sugar, candies, cookies, gluten, wheat and other carbohydrate rich food.
Salt is one of the 4 basic things people need. Our bodies need and acquire adequate amounts of salt daily. Salt's the second major constituent next to water in our body. The immune system can't function well without salt. The hormonal system can't function well without salt. And iodine can't work in the body without adequate amounts of salt. So I consider salt one of the basics. I check salt levels on every patient that comes in the door. I can tell you the vast majority are salt deficient. And so when I talk about salt, as I write about in my book, Salt Your Way to Health, there's good and bad salt. I would say an inadequate form of salt is refined salt. It's the little white crystals that we're all used to. Yeah. They fit in the salt shaker and they're real fine and they contain a little bit of iodine, but they only contain sodium and chloride, a little bit of iodine, and then they have toxic chemicals such as ferrocyanide. They have some bleach properties, bleach chemicals in them to make it white. That's not a good product. A better product is unrefined salt, which has over 80 minerals in it, lesser amounts of sodium and chloride. Doesn't have a lot of iodine in it, so therefore you need to supplement with iodine. But this is a staple that people need in their diets. The adrenal system can't function well without salt, the thyroid system can't function well without salt, and the immune system can't function well without salt. And iodine works much better in the body with salt, as salt helps to usher out bromide and fluoride in the body while you take iodine.
Many diets that I've heard about, people that think they're getting healthy, they say, okay, I'm not eating any more salt. Not a good idea.
It is not only is it not a good idea, it's a disastrous idea. And eventually the adrenals get overstressed from this and don't function well. But it's not good for the immune system, it's not good for fighting cancer. Okay. And people need salt in their diet. You know, it's a staple. Human beings have needed salt since the beginning of time. We were designed by our maker to need salt.
Right.
How much salt? About a teaspoon a day for most people. The latest studies that just came out in New England Journal of Medicine verified what I've been saying for the last 15 years. You know, I blog about this and I write about it in my newsletter.
Yeah.
You know, as those studies came out, you know, you can look at the curves. It's very easy to look at them. You see high mortality rate on the low end of salt intake, and then it goes down. And it doesn't really matter how much salt you use. Maybe at very high rates there's problems, but people aren't going to eat that amount of salt. They just need the right kind of salt, which is unrefined salt, such as Celtic brand sea salt, Redmond's real salt, the Himalayan salt. I've tested all 3 versions of those 4 times. I didn't find toxic agents, and I found adequate amounts of minerals in all of those kinds. I think those are very healthy forms of salt.
Awesome.
Hi everyone, Dr. Susan Brown, Director of the Center for Better Bones. You know, over my last 30 years of clinical experience, the one nutrient I found to be the best repair nutrient, the nutrient I wouldn't want to live without, is vitamin C. And it's very interesting, the more health problems, the more infection, the more challenge we have, the more vitamin C we need. It generally enhances the production of the white blood cells and the activation of the white blood cells. It potentiates the white blood cells, which are your cells that get out there and destroy all these bacteria, all these viruses. The white blood cells are your immune system, of course. It activates them, increases their production, and also protects all form of white blood cell from oxidative damage. By its very quality, is one of the greatest antioxidants that we have in the natural world. And it also nourishes the phagocytic white blood cells that are the kind of cleanup cells that go in and clean up the debris. Vitamin C also energizes and potentiates them. And as you might know, Vitamin C is one of the great, probably the best natural antiviral, and this was discussed by Nobel laureate Linus Pauling, his famous book on vitamin C and the common cold. There is now significant research documenting how vitamin C can protect us and help us recover from colds, flu, influenzas, and even from polio. Early research showed vitamin C to be effective in preventing and dealing with polio. Also a great antibacterial agent. This is when we see respiratory infections. This is when we see things like tuberculosis, actually, and pneumonia. Vitamin C is quite effective to aid in these situations. And finally, thinking about the immune system, it's interesting that vitamin C is transported to the skin. And there in the skin, it serves as a strong antioxidant to create a stronger protective barrier. Our skin, of course, is a great part of our immune system that protects from foreign invaders from the outside. The U.S. government has reported that vitamin C is the 4th leading nutritional deficiency in this country. Many people are not getting enough vitamin C. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have plenty of vitamin C.
Hey everyone, Dr. Bubbs here. Are you feeling tired, run down, maybe catching too many colds and flus? Well, today I'm going to be talking vitamin D and immunity, testing methods you can use to determine if you are deficient or have insufficient levels, as well as some nutritional strategies that you can use to help upgrade your immunity so you can keep your mental and physical performance on high. Well, let's get started. January is the month where you're most likely to catch a cold or a flu. And of course, vitamin D is strongly associated with the robustness of both your innate and adaptive immune systems. Well, your innate immune system is that first line of defense. It's the soldiers manning the wall to prevent you from getting sick in the first place. Your adaptive immune system is more that seek and destroy. Once you've already gotten sick, that's the arm of your immune system that goes out and finds that foreign intruder to knock them out. So if your levels are insufficient or deficient, then chances are you're going to be more likely to catch a cold or a flu. Now, how do you know what your levels are? Well, a simple blood test will let you know. 75 nanomoles per liter is classified by the Endocrine Society as having sufficient levels of vitamin D. Now, if you're in the US, you divide by 2.5 and that would come out to 30 nanograms per mil. Less than that and you're considered to have insufficient levels, which means you might still get a bit of a benefit in terms of immunity, as well as in previous videos we talked about exercise-induced muscle damage. Now, if your levels, however, are less than 50 nanomoles per liter, or if you're in the US, 20 nanograms per mil, then you are classified as being deficient. And now we know from the research that being deficient or having insufficient levels of vitamin D are going to be associated with poorer immunity. So, what can you do about it? Well, in terms of nutrition, there are foods that contain vitamin D, things like egg yolks. However, they don't contain very much. It's difficult, particularly in the winter months, to get enough in your diet to increase your vitamin D status. So this is a time, especially when you live in a climate with a true winter climate, to be adding in a supplemental dose of vitamin D. Now, the research supports 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D, depending on your background, ethnicity, activity level, etc.
Now, what's really important to know is that vitamin C fuels your immune cells, but your immune cells are useless without vitamin D. This is where you have to pay close attention. Vitamin D is what mobilizes our immune cells. So without vitamin D, immune cells remain naive. They never truly mobilize. So at that point, what good is vitamin C? If vitamin C only fuels immune cells that are mobilized, really, without vitamin D, vitamin C is kind of useless. And then it gets even more complicated. Vitamin C is needed for vitamin D conversion. And there was a study that was published in the journal Nutrition that found this to be pretty darn interesting. They found that vitamin C influences an enzyme known as 1,25-D3 hydroxylase. This is the enzyme that converts vitamin D into its usable form. So without vitamin C, we don't have the enzyme that allows vitamin D to be utilized in its actual active form. So vitamin C is required for vitamin D, and then vitamin D is required to mobilize the immune system, and then the immune system needs vitamin C again. So you see how they kind of work together, right? So vitamin C isn't really worth the, orange that you're getting it out of without vitamin D. But now things get even crazier. Okay, so we know vitamin C is important. We know that we need to make sure we're getting vitamin D, but in order to convert vitamin D once again and actually metabolize it, we need magnesium. When we convert vitamin D, we deplete our magnesium stores. And guess what? We're already depleted in magnesium. Okay, a large percentage of people, at least in the Western world, are very, very depleted in magnesium because our soil is depleted in it. It's involved in 400 different enzymatic processes. It is a cofactor for so many things. The converting enzymes just can't do their job without magnesium. So magnesium is drained and used up when we're converting vitamin D. However, it's required for vitamin D. So you see the problem here, right? So we need magnesium, then we need vitamin D, then we need vitamin C. And it's all this chain reaction. In fact, it's kind of funny when you look at some patients that are given vitamin D via their doctors, right? They tell them to take vitamin D, and then they measure their blood levels. They find their vitamin D never went up. Well, what's happening there? They're taking a vitamin D supplement, but their vitamin D levels aren't rising because they're deficient in magnesium. So the vitamin D they're taking in isn't doing diddly squat because it doesn't have the cofactor to actually allow the enzymes to be there to allow that vitamin D to become usable. We need magnesium as the underlying mineral for all of this to happen, for our immune system to truly work. I would usually recommend probably between 400 and 800 milligrams of magnesium per day. I'll go ahead and put a link down below to my favorite magnesium as well.
Vitamin A is essential for your immune system. Having a vitamin A deficiency will increase your susceptibility to getting more infections, especially in the respiratory system, both lower lungs as well as sinus and throat. You need vitamin A for all of your mucous membranes. And I'm talking about the sinuses, the mouth, the lungs, and even the gut. Without vitamin A, you're not going to be able to produce the mucous membranes that you need. The mucous membranes are an important barrier to microbes. The microbes have a difficult time of penetrating this mucus layer, and they get stuck in there and they can't move too well. You have a lot of your immune cells sitting there waiting for some type of invasion so they can actually attack and also signal the rest of the team as they hold down the fort. The internal skin of your body, the epithelial layer of your sinuses, your throat, and your lungs, which basically is just beneath the mucus, is highly influenced by vitamin A. Without vitamin A, you're not going to have a normal cell layer. Also, vitamin A keeps these cells together so they don't leak or open up and allow microbes or pathogens to invade. In your colon, you have the mucous membrane, and then you have a layer of colon cells, and then you have a layer of the lymphatic system just below that, and that's where a lot of immune reactions take place. If you haven't seen my video on lymph nodes, I put a link down below. So vitamin A is needed to make something called mucin, which is a part of the mucous membrane. It's like a gel that is involved in your immune system. Without vitamin A, you're going to have a difficult time having normal amounts of macrophages. These are the cells that are very large and they eat microbes for dinner. They also clean up debris and garbage. They act as a first line of defense to hold down the fort while they send the message to the rest of the troops. Your thymus gland, right above the heart, and it helps train your immune cells, specifically T cells, which stand for thymus. And the thymus has a capacity to activate and synthesize vitamin A. And the reason for that is because your immune system needs vitamin A. If you're deficient in vitamin A, your risk goes up for ulcerative colitis, MS, psoriasis, and even lupus. But the question is, what food do you get vitamin A from? Beef liver would be at the top of the list. Then you have cod liver oil, mackerel, salmon, goat's cheese, butter, and of course I'm talking about grass-fed, cream cheese, eggs. Now vitamin A is also in the kale, broccoli, the spinach, but that would be in the pre-vitamin A form, carotenoids. The active form called retinol is in all of these.
So what is zinc? Zinc is a nutritionally vital mineral. It is found in foods such as sunflower seeds, red meat, eggs, oysters, and beans. Zinc performs many therapeutic actions in our bodies. It functions as an antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant. In fact, over 200 enzyme reactions depend on zinc. So what else does it do? Here's the rundown. Our senses like vision, taste, smell, and hearing require zinc to function optimally. Adequate zinc intake is essential in maintaining the integrity of our immune system. If you are deficient in zinc, you may be more susceptible to a variety of infectious agents. When zinc is taken within the first 24 hours of onset of symptoms, for example, a scratchy throat, it may reduce the duration of the common cold by as many as 3 days and might help reduce the severity of the symptoms. Zinc supplements come in many forms, such as picolinate, acetate, methionine, or gluconate. Zinc picolinate is the preferred form for oral supplementations because it's easily absorbed by your body. However, if you would prefer a lozenge, gluconate or acetate may be the best forms. A dosage of around 10 to 20 milligrams a day is okay for maintenance. However, you might need a higher dosage to help kick those cold symptoms. Taking large quantities of zinc for long periods of time can interfere with the availability of copper. This can result in a copper deficiency. Lastly, when taking zinc for cold symptoms, it is best not to overdo it, as some research has shown that too much zinc may actually weaken our immune system.
Now, vitamin C is one of the vitamins that you cannot produce. You got to consume it. And when you look at all the people that are healing people of the coronavirus or COVID or influenza or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or inflammatory bowel disease, they're utilizing high-dose vitamin C, and they're doing it to bowel tolerance. So some people are recommending 1,000 to 5,000 milligrams every 4 or 5 hours until you get diarrhea. And then you scale it back, but you keep doing it so your body can heal. When we look at vitamin C, helps protect your lungs from free radical damage. Citrus fruits, cantaloupe, strawberries, tomatoes, broccoli, kiwi. Vitamin A. Okay, now if you look at the two main categories, you got the retinoids and the carotenoids. Okay, now when we look at the retinoids, beef liver, eggs, raw butter, raw milk, shrimp. Okay, oily, fatty foods. When we look at the carotenoids, you're looking at, this. Carrots, sweet potatoes. Okay, glutathione. Fantastic. Now, this protects the liver. Now, if you've had a long-term liver toxicity, like let's say you're doing pharmaceutical products, you're going to have liver damage. Because anything you put in your mouth has got to go through that liver. So this is going to be vital that you heal the liver, and the glutathione is fantastic. It's an antioxidant, helps with the brain, helps with the liver. Black seed, Nigella sativa. Now this stuff is amazing. It can build up to toxic levels in your body, but for cancer, for helping the immune system problem, it's fantastic. 800 published studies. Vitamin D. Okay, if you're locked in your house, open the door. Stand in the sun, okay?
I am going to share with you the powerful medicinal health benefits of what garlic can do for you to help build your immune system and keep you healthy. So when you're chopping or smashing your garlic clove, there's an enzyme reaction that increases its helpful compounds, which is the main active ingredient in garlic. Allicin contains sulfur, which gives garlic its distinctive smell and taste. This is what gives garlic its medicinal properties that will boost the disease-fighting response in boosting the body's immunity to help fight the flu. Garlic will give your T cells a boost. The T cells are lymphocyte immune cells that protect the body from pathogens and cancer cells. They are important for cell-mediated immunity and the activation of immune cells to fight infection. Raw honey contains antioxidants that will help protect your body from cell damage due to free radicals. Free radicals contribute to the aging process and may also contribute to the development of chronic diseases such as cancer and heart disease. Raw honey has shown immune boosting and anti-cancer benefits. It will also help many of your digestive problems, and it has been proven as an effective treatment for H. pylori, which is a common cause of stomach ulcers. So if you have the flu and you have a sore throat or even coughing, just a spoonful of honey can help conquer these problems. So once it's crushed, To get those full medicinal benefits from that garlic, remember, leave it out up to 10 minutes before you eat it. Now, if you do not have those garlic cloves available, you can buy organic chopped up garlic. And that is very beneficial as well and a lot easier to utilize. Taking 1 clove of garlic and chopping it up very well and putting it on a spoon along with a little bit of honey, or taking 1 teaspoon of that chopped garlic, which is about the same as 1 clove, and then eating it with that honey, you're going to maximize those medicinal health benefits of that garlic and honey together, which is going to be a great immunity booster for you. So to help build your army and keep your immune system strong, try to eat 3 teaspoons of chopped garlic a day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening. So the bottom line is that we need to build your army. We need to increase those healthy white blood cells, to increase those lymphocytes and killer T cells to help build your immunity, to keep your body strong so you can fight those viruses and live a happy and healthy life.
Honey is a wonderful natural antibiotic, antifungal, antiviral, and we've known about that for a while. But recently, some more studies have been focused on more of the items that bees do, and one of them is called bee propolis, or bee glue, as it's called, and how it can help with viruses and breakouts of cold and flu and bacterial infections. So what exactly is bee glue? Well, it's a waxy substance that's made from plant resin. So as the bees are out flittering over your yard, they're picking up something called the resin from a plant. You see them in the flower and they're pulling that out. And then they combine that with the enzymes that the bees actually have in their mouth, spit, and they put that together, and this becomes this bee glue or propolis. And the way they use that could give us a tip as to how we can use it, is that they take that and they take the hive and they spit that or splatter that all over the inside of the hive, and it becomes an antibacterial sealant that does not allow any bacteria or anything else from the outside world into their secure area of their honeycombs in there. And then they also use it as a caulk to reinforce the hive so it doesn't fall apart.
My goodness. It's a science lesson today with Dr. Trudy, but it's not just a science lesson, it's something that actually can be applied to your life. So there was a study done that shows how this bee glue can have good health benefits in our own lives.
It has. There were actually 2 studies. One was done in Yemen with children who had upper respiratory infections. And the children presented with runny noses, sore throats, coughs, and fevers. They were diagnosed with cold, pharyngitis, tonsillitis, oral thrush, and they said, okay, let's take this group and let's try the bee glue, the bee propolis, on them and see what happens. So they were all treated with that, and the results showed that it stopped the growth of the bacteria. Within 24 hours, all of the children were no longer, they were still presenting symptoms, but they were not as worse, and they were not getting worse at all. Another study in Germany showed that it actually stopped the activity of the strep virus in 6 hours. In 6 hours, the strep virus was deteriorating and slowing down in the body from that. Wow. It also has shown impressive results with skin infections, yeast infections such as Candida, and MRSA. So it's got a huge future. And it's easy to find. You don't have to worry about the little sticky goop. How am I going to eat that stuff? Actually, it does come in capsules. So you can go to your health food store and purchase some propolis, have it on hand for when your children or for you have a virus, because it's antifungal, so it's going to help the yeast. It's antibacterial, which means if you have a cough or cold that gets worse, and you remember that green mucus that comes from your nose when it turns to bacteria, it's going to help with that, or just a simple cough and cold, it will also help with the virus.
Did you know bee pollen has more protein than any animal source, including beef, eggs, and cheese of equal weight? In fact, it's considered one of nature's most complete superfoods, containing almost all the nutrients required for human health. It has vitamins, essential fatty acids, minerals, enzymes, antioxidants, and more. As a result, its effect on your body is nutritive and supportive. If you're lacking in nutrients, you can have symptoms of low energy, difficulty recovering from a busy day, or you can get frequent colds and flus. So if you're tired, run down, or just can't get enough energy to get through your day, you may be deficient in nutrients that give your body what it needs. If this is the case with you, bee pollen will replenish these nutrients and give you the energy and reserves to get through your day. Bee pollen also nourishes your immune system, so you can fight viruses and bugs and can make you ill and run your energy down. One reason bee pollen increases your energy is its high protein content in free amino acid form, which the body can use immediately for energy. It also has B vitamins and folic acid, which decrease stress and increase your energy. By giving your body the basic things it needs to run, you will be replenishing low nutrient reserves. It'll also add to the well of nutrients your body can draw from as it needs. Many natural health providers recommend bee pollen for clients with low energy, who are run down and who get frequent infections. These are all signs of nutrient deficiencies, which taking bee pollen can help. Bee pollen can be found fresh, freeze-dried, and in capsule form. There is no risk of toxicity, so you can increase your dose when you are extra tired or when you are fighting an infection. A standard dose of bee pollen is 500 milligrams 3 times daily or 1 teaspoon twice daily. So if you're tired and run down or finding you're getting sick often, you'll want to consider bee pollen. It's one of nature's superfoods containing nearly all nutrients humans need. It'll maximize your energy, stamina, and boost your immune system.
Welcome, Andy. It's great to see you.
Hi, Sarah.
All right. The headlines, Ebola, enterovirus, creepy stuff going around, and the immediate thing that always goes to my mind is immune boosting. So, echinacea, one of the classic immune boosters. Is that something that people should be considering?
Yeah, very much so. And it's important to remember that it's one of those things that works most of the time for most people, which is kind of nice. It's also important to remember that it's not an excuse for taking care of yourself otherwise. All of these things, as well as the antiviral drugs and the other interventions that we might come up with, rely on a person being sufficiently conscious about their diet, nutrition, lifestyle, etc.
Let's assume they should be conscious of their diet and nutrition. They may or may not be. But still, in the Western kind of way, you still want to know what you can do to boost your immune.
Right.
Is echinacea something that you take when you're starting to get sick, or is something you could take prophylactically to boost your immune system in general?
There's some people that choose to take it prophylactically, particularly if they know that they're going to have more of a tendency to get sick when the seasons change, like from fall to winter or from winter back to spring. There are other people that know that when there's sufficient stress in their life coming up, like a business conference or an uncomfortable meeting that they have to take, or they have to go to a location that's particularly challenging for them, into a city or something, they want to take something to help give them a little bit more of an edge, and that's a good time to take echinacea.
And are there certain strains of disease, viruses, bacteria, whatever, that echinacea is more effective with, or is it just in general works well for boosting your immune?
I'd have to say in general, because there's been very little specific testing against specific viruses in particular. But it seems to be one of those things that works for most people most of the time. It's interesting that there was a misconception about echinacea, that it could only be taken for a short period of time, and beyond that it was relatively ineffective. The problem was with the research, which was done in German. It was translated into English, and the work was only done for 3 days. Therefore, they didn't comment on it, but the English translation said it didn't work beyond that point.
Perfect. And how about, there was a major study about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little less, that said echinacea didn't work at all.
Right.
So what's the truth on that?
It's a bad extract of echinacea.
A bad product or a bad choice? As I recall, actually, it was the type that they were using.
They were extracting the whole plant when the root has the active principle in it. So therefore, the amount of active component was dramatically diluted from what one would expect in a therapeutic product. Also, the therapeutic product is oftentimes more elegantly extracted than the material that was used in the testing.
Now, the interesting thing about it, as I recall, is that they chose the product they used because that was the most popular product that had the largest sales. So the important thing to know then is that there's product for sale that's not effective.
Oh, yeah. Right. As a matter of fact, the product that was chosen, I think, was an echinacea leaf product.
All right, so if somebody wants to use echinacea, what type? So they need to look for a root product. Does it say it on the label?
It'll say that it's from echinacea root, yes.
So the specifically one.
Yeah, or it may use the Latin word radix, R-A-D-I-X.
And it's generally in the liquid form?
Liquid is a tincture extract as opposed to a powdered root. The only exception to that is a freeze-dried extract of the root, which is particularly potent.
So does it matter, powder or liquid?
There are different principles that are extracted with both of the materials. Each preparation has its own particular strength. I prefer the tincture.
Are there any risks to taking echinacea?
Not that I've found with any consistency. There are some people who might have some mild allergic reaction to it, but I haven't seen any clinically in over 30 years.
The bottom line on echinacea, it's a great immune booster. You can take it at the first signs of sickness, or you can take it prophylactically if you're under a lot of stress, going to be traveling, or you're just coming into cold and flu season.
What are the benefits of olive leaf extract?
There's tons of benefits. Number one, it helps build white blood cell count. Number two, it's a great antimicrobial. It's been shown, antimicrobials are interesting because it's not, when you take things for your immune system, you think, okay, it's going to support, what is it going to do? People don't even know, it's good for my immune system. Well, some things are good for your immune system because they focus on boosting white blood cell count. Olive leaf extract is good because it boosts white blood cell count, it helps white blood cell activity, but it also has antimicrobial effects. It has an effect where it actually kills viruses and bacteria. And the third thing that I really love is it's a great antioxidant. So it helps squelch free radicals. So not only is it helping our immune system, not only is it helping kill the bad bugs in our system, but it's also decreasing free radicals, which are damaging to our system in general. So it really has a trifecta approach, and that's why it had to be in my resilient immune formula.
Medical science research tested a variety of herbs against viruses. And oil of oregano was among the absolute best agents as an antiviral. The flu virus, herpes simplex virus, hepatitis A virus, the norovirus, the Norwalk virus that you get on cruise ships. Take the oil of oregano with you on the cruise, spray your hands, spray your feet, put a little in as an aerosol in the room. It's going to make a difference. Now, let's go on to black seed oil. This is not flax, not FL, BLA, black seed Nigella sativa, also known as kalanji, black cumin seed oil, caraway seed. We call it black seed oil because the seed or the fruit looks like a black seed. It's beautiful. It's a very important medicinal herb of the Middle East. It's been written of as the cure for all disease. Now that's a pretty bold statement, and I don't think that's completely true, but it's remarkable the wide application of black seed oil. It is a powerful antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. It's applicable for most common infectious disease-based illnesses. They know what is in it that does this. It is effective against gram-negative and gram-positive viruses, parasites, schistosomi, staphylococcus, streptococcus, Klebsiella, Proteus, Pseudomonas. These are all the germs that make us so desperately ill and that alter our bowel flora and knock out the orchestra-leading probiotics. And here's the real beauty, and I mentioned it before, but I want to emphasize, we can take the black seed oil, we can take the oil of oregano every single day, and you will not develop resistance. And how can I be so confident? We've been taking this, humans have been taking it for 1,000, 2,000 years that we know of, maybe longer, with no resistance yet.
Elderberry extracts also exert an immune modulating effect by enhancing cytokine production, which activates important cells in the immune system called phagocytes and facilitates movement to inflamed tissues. Elderberry contains flavonoids, which are antioxidants that stimulate the immune system and neutralize free radicals. Lastly, as we discussed earlier, elderberry contains anthocyanins, and these anthocyanins have an anti-inflammatory effect. With an anti-inflammatory effect comes a decrease in aches, pains, and fevers. Let's take a minute to talk about the safety profile of elderberry. Elderberries contain a compound called cyanogenic glycosides. So when we eat a raw elderberry, our GI tract changes that compound into hydrogen cyanide. Yep, like cyanide the poison. Ingesting cyanide really isn't that good of an idea when it comes to improving your overall health. Our bodies can metabolize a small amount of cyanide per hour, but it's not ideal. Ingestion of uncooked products from elderberry species have resulted in poisoning and hospitalization. Ingestion at smaller doses may not get you hospitalized, but it can produce GI complaints like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Children are particularly susceptible to this. When it comes to the elderberry plant, the berries of the fruit contain the lowest level of cyanogenic glycosides compared to the rest of the plant. Total concentrations of cyanogenic glycosides in the berries vary depending on the growing location and the conditions. This means that medicinal elderberry compounds, if prepared at home, have an unknown quantity of cyanogenic glycosides. The good news is, cyanide gas is volatile, so risks of poisoning are eliminated if the berries are cooked or otherwise exposed to heat. To prepare a product that's safe for consumption, heat must be applied to the berries with sufficient evaporation to release the cyanide compounds from the elderberry products. A review of popular elderberry recipes indicates that many homemade products do not include the heat and evaporation required to mitigate this risk. So I'd urge caution in the use of homemade products. Even if they don't cause poisoning severe enough to result in hospitalization, they may cause GI issues. Fortunately for us, there's commercially available products that do not have this issue as they have been properly prepared.
Now there's another exciting emerging supplement that can be a very helpful adjunct to supporting your immune system, and that is mushrooms. You know, there's over 300 different species of mushrooms that are now thought to have potential for promoting human health. And the evidence continues to emerge, confirming how mushrooms' proteins, their trace minerals, their polysaccharides, amino acids, and fiber promote overall health. These and other compounds found in mushrooms are now believed to provide a number of benefits, such as promoting normal cellular growth, protecting against environmental stressors, supporting your body's normal detoxification process, supporting the most important healthy gut flora, and promoting optimal digestion. Now, most people view mushrooms as the fleshy, spore-bearing fruiting body of a fungus like grows in the forest or on your lawn and is typically produced above the ground. However, most of the magic in the mushroom is actually in their very complex root structure that you don't see. It grows below ground. And this root structure is called the mycelium. And it actually can have up to 95% of the mushroom's total biomass. Now, the mycelium is a vast network of living cells covering much of the Earth's surface. And what about mushrooms that makes them so potentially valuable to support your health and support your immune system? Well, that would be the beta-glucans and proteoglycans. That are the primary biologically active compounds in mushrooms, in the fruiting bodies, and the mycelia that support your immune system, and actually support the immune system of animals too. How do you find a good mushroom product? Well, let me give you some tips. Most mushroom products you'll find on the store shelves are made from extracts. So the first thing is to make sure you look for a product that's made from the whole mushroom. Just like eating a fresh vegetable with its fiber and natural nutrients intact, which is the preferred way to get those nutrients. It's no different with mushrooms. And when you extract certain bioactive compounds from mushrooms, such as these important beta-glucans and polysaccharides, you tend to leave behind these crucial enzymes, coenzymes, and chelated mineral activators. Now, these very valuable compounds actually support the mushroom's bioactivity and how your body ultimately receives benefit from the total mushroom complex. So you have to be really careful because the extraction process can also damage many of the bioactive enzymes and proteins. And here's something else I absolutely must mention, in that highly concentrated mushroom extracts can bring the potential for potentially serious and unintended consequences. As powerful as they can be, an overload of certain compounds and isolated extracts may actually shut down some important feedback loops that your body depends upon. So another key to look for is how the company actually produces the mushrooms. The best approach is something called solid-state fermentation. So just look for that if you're selecting a mushroom product.
I'd like to talk to you at this time about colloidal silver. We have had many things that try to treat bacterial infections and viral infections, and of course we have many antibiotics. Some are very strong, some have developed problems in that lots of the bacteria that are being treated with some of the antibiotics are resistant to them now. The discussion needs to include colloidal silver. There's a lot of misinformation about colloidal silver. Some people say it'll turn your skin gray and whatever else, and that's true if it's made with tap water. Tap water has chlorine, fluorine, minerals, whatever, and the silver forms molecules with these which the body cannot break down, and the only way the body can excrete these molecules is through the skin. It can't excrete it through the bowel or through the bladder. So it sends it to the skin, and the silver compound then tarnishes there, causing the skin to turn to a bluish gray color. Colloidal silver has been around a long time. The history tells us that Caesar conquered the world because he had silver coins in his water barrels. When he went to foreign countries and drank the water, he didn't get sick and his soldiers didn't get sick and die like happens in the recent past. So the silver coins in the bottom of his water barrels protected his soldiers from the contaminated water. What does the term "born with a silver spoon in his mouth" mean to you? Generally, it means that the person was rich. In the Middle Ages, the plagues killed hundreds of thousands of people, but a lot of the rich people didn't die. And the saying, they didn't die because they had a silver spoon in their mouth. They were rich. It wasn't the being the rich, but it was the silver, because they drank their silver out of cups. They drank their silver, and they had used silver utensils and silver plates, so that they were somewhat protected from the bacterial infections that occurred at that particular time. Lots of research has been done on colloidal silver. As I said, you're going to go to the computer, you're going to find a lot of negative hearsay information that is not backed up with any kind of science. The colloidal silver has been shown to kill mycoplasms. So it is something that you can buy over the counter. It is usually made in strengths, different strengths. It's parts per million instead of milligrams per cc or tablet. And I usually recommend something between 10 and 30, and I prefer closer to 30 if you can find it. There are several different brands that are made, and they protect your body as a preventive. As an ENT office, people with infections and snotty noses come in, and my front office help were getting sick a lot until I started having them take the colloidal silver, and they haven't been sick since for the last 4 or 5 years. So we do know it works. It will prevent any kind of infection, and it does protect us from the bacteria that are developing resistances to other antibiotics. If the colloidal silver is made with distilled water, which has no foreign substances, no chlorine, no fluoride, no other kind of minerals or things like that in there, then it will not cause a problem with you turning your skin gray. You can go on the internet, you can go to a website that's called thesilveredge.com. They have a lot of information there, and you can look it up and understand how the colloidal silver works without causing the skin to turn gray.
Today I want to talk about Amazing Thieves Oil, a great antiviral and immune boosting oil which has been around since the 1400s. Amazing stuff. And it goes back to the 1400s, about the time of the bubonic plague. People were dying left and right in Europe, and they happened to find that these 4 thieves, they were actually going through the pockets of the people who were dying but weren't dead yet, and also the people who were already dead and that type of thing, and robbing their homes. But they weren't getting sick for some reason. And so they finally caught them, and they brought them before the magistrate, and they said, "You tell us why you're not getting sick, and we won't burn you at the stake." So they did, of course, and as they told them, they were merchants and they knew about these oils. They were preventive. They put them in their masks and they put them on their temples and all on their feet and on their hands, and that way they didn't get sick. And so they loved that. The magistrate did, but he still hanged them anyway. But terrible. But anyway, we did find out about this formula way back then, so it's been working for a long time. It contains, on the average, it varies depending on who's making it, but it contains on the average clove oil, lemon oil, eucalyptus oil, cinnamon oil, rosemary oil, and it helps with pain and boosts up your immune system, speeds up the healing of cuts and small wounds, lifts up your mood, so you smell this wonderful smell and makes you feel good. It helps with respiratory conditions, and so you feel great and you can breathe deep. Improves, like I said, your immune system. Can be used as a cleaning agent. You can add it to your cleaning process. Helps with the colds and flus to keep them away. It lowers fevers. It's anti-inflammatory. Inflammation is the first step toward disease, so it's anti-inflammatory also. Add it to your laundry for get rid of bacteria in your laundry. Also helps with bee stings and wasp stings and things like that. So, boy, it helps a lot. Probably the most common way to use this is with a diffuser. Excuse me. Big whiff of that. And diffusing it into the whole room, you have more of alertness, you have better feeling in the room, you elevate your mood, your stress goes down, on and on and on. You can use it as a massage oil, of course. That's always great. Anytime you get a massage, you let go of all the stress and that type of thing. I recommend at least a massage once a month to get rid of stress. And also, it helps to detox some of the toxins out of your body too, and help to move the lymph in your body. And you want to take these essential oils and you want to dilute them. Once you get the thieves oil, and this is already diluted because you can use it right on your skin, you want to be able to dilute that because the essential oils are not good direct on your skin. They will burn you. So you want to dilute that down to about 3% process of the oil itself, and use that as massage oil. You can put it in lotions and creams. Maybe you got a lotion you already bought. You could add a little bit of thieves oil to it, or a cream that you already have put together. That 1 or 2% addition of thieves oil is great. That would be the good combination for using a lotion or a cream. You can make a spray. You can add water and add 8 to 10 drops to an ounce of water of thieves oil, and that will do a great job. You can make your own thieves oil. You start out with 40 drops of clove essential oil, and also 35 drops of lemon essential oil, 20 drops of cinnamon essential oil, 15 drops of eucalyptus essential oil, and 10 drops of rosemary essential oil. So all essential oils, and try to make them organic as much as possible. And you can mix them, keep them in a dark bottle like this. That's really good because they break down with light. Also, dilute it properly if you're going to be using it after that. Side effects? Just about none, really. Some allergic reactions, some skin reactions, and that's pretty normal. Photosensitivity, but it's not for those who are pregnant, nursing, or small children. It's a little too powerful. There's no doubt about that. And I wouldn't take thieves oil orally unless there was something really amazing, powerfully bad going on. I know a lot of people do recommend that, but you can diffuse it and take it in. That will get into your bloodstream. I think that's a better way to do it.
Back in the 1930s, German researchers were using hydrogen peroxide in the air. putting it into the ear canal against the eardrum, tympanic membrane. And their theory is it's diffusing through the eardrum into the bloodstream, which is ridding off and fighting the common cold viruses, the flu. And over the years, because of what we call mainstream medicine, this has been ignored. But today, I can tell you that thousands of people are getting miraculous results. If we're getting sick, here's a technique that can get you well, as long as you catch it in the early phases. We do know that there is a large breeding ground in our middle and inner ears. And if that breeding ground continues to persist, that can become more systemic throughout our body, causing other symptoms. So when you start to feel run down and you feel like that bug is starting to fight you, where your body resistance is getting weaker, putting about 5 or 6 drops of hydrogen peroxide in both ears can do magic for you. If you don't have a dropper, which I recommend, you put about 5 or 6 drops, lay on your left side, put it in your right ear. You'll lay there about 5 minutes or so. You'll feel a sizzling. You'll hear that sizzling. Shh. That's the hydrogen peroxide working through against not only emulsifying and breaking down wax, because if you have wax in your ear, this will loosen up that wax, but it will actually do the work as it's working against the eardrum. After about 5 minutes, you'll switch to the other side. You'll do the same thing. You let it sit there. You'll hear that sizzling sensation. After about 5 minutes, you'll get up and you'll dab your ears. This could be done several times a day. And if you catch it early, you will see miraculous results. Our throat region seems to be a real common area when it comes to those viruses or those bacteria or germs that try to invade us. And by taking that hydrogen peroxide and diluting 2 parts water to 1 part hydrogen peroxide, a little bit, and putting it in your mouth and gargling it for about 30 seconds, you can wipe out a lot of that bacteria and viruses, and that can really save your body from getting sick.
So one of the things that I think is crucial that we focus on is reducing our stress. Stress hormones are so powerful at suppressing your immune system that they're actually routinely used in organ transplant surgeries to make sure that the new organ isn't rejected by the immune system. So imagine this is your immune system, right? It moves through your body, killing and gobbling up things that aren't supposed to be there, like coronavirus, right? Now imagine this. You're binging on news stories about coronavirus and flooding your body with stress hormones, which is kind of like a tranquilizer dart for your immune system. And with your immune system asleep, coronavirus can come in and be like, yo, it's time to party. So I'm going to be giving you more tips throughout the week, but for today, I just want to give you 3 simple things you can do right now to really reduce your stress and give your immune system a chance to thrive. Number 1 is deep belly breathing, right? Close your eyes, take 3 to 5 deep breaths into your belly, and you can do that as many times as you need to really calm your nervous system down. Number 2 is getting out for a nice long walk. Movement literally burns off stress hormones. And number 3, I'm going to really encourage you to take in enough media to stay informed, but please don't overdo it. Media is really designed to hijack your limbic system, your limbic brain, and keep you watching it, keep you consuming it. So by all means, put down your phone, take a nice deep breath, get out for a nice long walk, and give your immune system a chance to do its job. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you.
This session we are talking about sleep and its connection to how well our immune system works. The immune system is complex and plays an important role in protecting our health from threats ranging from colds to cancer. How does sleep impact the strength of our immune system?
Well, you summed it up very nicely, Dr. Brayman. Sleep impacts the full range of how well our immune system works, from how likely you are to catch a cold to the risk of developing serious immune-mediated diseases like autoimmune disorders and cancer.
Okay, so let's tease this apart a little bit and look at the impact of sleep on immunity. What do we know about sleep and our chances of catching an infection?
There have been quite a number of studies that suggest short sleep time and poor quality sleep increases one's risk for catching a variety of infections. One particularly strong recent study compared the chances of developing a cold in people who sleep 6 or fewer hours per night to people who sleep 7 or more hours. After actually putting a cold virus in each of the study subjects' nose, what they found was that people who slept 6 or fewer hours per night were 4 times more likely to develop cold symptoms than the people who slept 7 or more hours.
Wow, 4 times greater chance of catching a cold when we sleep 6 hours or less. That's a huge difference. It sounds like sleep is good lifestyle medicine, restoring healthy immune system function, just like it does for other systems. Thank you, Dr. Gurley.
Thank you, Dr. Brayman.
Hi, Dr. Pat here. You're probably well aware of how important exercise is to your health. One of the most important ways that it helps you is by improving your lymphatic circulation. Your lymph system is a network of vessels involved in cleansing and nourishing your body. Unlike your cardiovascular system, your lymph system has no circulatory pump of its own. It relies upon exercise and physical movement to propel lymph fluids throughout your body. The importance of the lymph system to your health cannot be overstated. Yet, many of us remain unfamiliar with it. Your lymph system is your immune system's first line of defense. It helps keep you from catching infections such as colds and flus, and most importantly, it keeps you from developing chronic illness. A healthy lymph system allows nutrients into your cells, and it removes toxic buildup between your cells. When the lymph system moves properly, electrically charged ions such as calcium, potassium, and sodium move freely through your cell walls. When the lymph system stalls, your ability to nourish and detoxify your cells becomes impaired. Lymph function is absolutely necessary to your health. Now, most exercise will improve lymph circulation, but all exercise is not equal. Research performed by such scientists as Dr. Joan Vernikos of NASA has proven that exercise that involves opposing gravity, such as when you jump upwards, does the most for your lymphatic system. If we believe Dr. Joan Vernikos and choose gravity-opposing exercise, we might first turn to exercise that involves jumping, such as jumping rope, aerobics, basketball, or even running. But the problem with these activities is that they can be hard on your joints and cause injury over time. That's why I like rebounding on a mini tramp. As long as you use a well-designed, quality mini trampoline, you will still be jumping, but you will be protecting your joints as well. You don't need to become a trampoline artist to get the benefits of opposing gravity on a mini tramp. It is true that a higher jump will build strength and integrity throughout your body. But there is a simple, safe, and gentle movement called the health bounce that can be done by almost anyone. My feet are not even coming off the mat, but I will still get the benefits of lymphosizing.
Today we're going to talk about using forest bathing to boost your immune system. Now, this was used in Japan in the 80s for physical and mental health. This is not about just actually taking a bath in nature. It's about getting out in nature and breathing in or taking in the forest atmosphere. So there's 3 interesting studies I want to just talk about briefly, and they're out of Japan, and they relate to being out the forest, being exposed to native evergreens like the spruce and pine and other evergreen trees. So this is the essence of forest bathing. You're out in the forest and you're breathing in certain chemicals from these trees. They're essential oils. They isolated this really interesting immune benefit from being exposed to certain essential oils that are actually being emitted from the trees in the forest. So that group of compounds is phytoncides. Now there's many different individual chemicals in this category, but here's what they found. This chemical significantly increases your natural killer cells. Now, the natural killer cells are part of the immune system under the innate section. The innate category of your immune system is something you're born with. These white blood cells don't have to be trained. They just know what to do. And natural killer cells do several things. One thing is they will punch a hole into cells that have been infected by viruses and cause the cell to commit suicide. So they destroy not just the cell, but the virus inside it. And they have certain chemical weapons that they use. There's actually 3 studies, and I put the links down below. The first study was in 2006. It was performed on a small group of people for 3 days and 2 nights. They went into the forest, and they did before and after testing, and they found significant increase in the number of killer T cells, as well as a significant spike in this compound. The next study was done in 2008 for 3 days, and then they compared that to people that were in the city that actually went out for a walk and they spent time relaxing. They just wanted to differentiate, is it something in the forest or is it just about going for a walk, okay? And they found people in the forest that did the 2-hour walks had significant increase, but not only did they find a spike in killer T cells, but also in the weaponry that that cell uses to annihilate virus-infected cells. Now, in the last study, which was done in 2009, this was done in a hotel room. And what they did is they infused this essential oil with this chemical throughout the air. And guess what they found? They found significant increases in natural killer cells and the weaponry that they use. In addition to that, they also checked their adrenaline levels, and they found that their adrenaline was decreased. So not only did they have the immune benefit, but they had the stress reduction benefit at the same time.
Well, Dr. Josh Axe joins us this morning with guidance to help everyone get a little dirty to reclaim their health and even lose weight. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me, Heather.
Well, I think this is fascinating, this concept that Americans are just too clean. What does that really mean, and how is it affecting our health?
Well, sure. Well, you know, what's happened is we've really swung the pendulum too far in the other direction with antibiotics. There's no doubt early on those save lives, but what's happened is not only are we killing some of the bad bacteria in our environment, we're killing a lot of the good bacteria and probiotics in our gut, because antibiotics are in everything now, from the things we clean our clothes with, to prescription antibiotic drugs, to hand sanitizers with triclosan in them, to our personal care products like our lotions and shampoos, even our cleaning products. All of these things have antibiotics in them, and they're killing off the good bacteria in our gut. And probiotics in our gut are responsible for protecting our gut lining. They help with nutrient absorption. They're responsible for your immune system. And so we're really lacking these. And so our fear today of germs and the use of antibiotics has really destroyed our guts as well, causing a condition called leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut is the root cause of all disease.
Okay, before we get into leaky gut syndrome, I want to talk about some of the things you just mentioned, because I feel like several red flags were just raised. I use hand sanitizer every day. I mean, I use cleaning products around our house. So the question is, doctor, is there anything that we can do? Is there still a way to use these products without harming ourselves?
Yeah, Heather, you know what? In my book, Eat Dirt, I really get into this, is that we need to start replacing with all these chemicals with natural herb-based products like essential oils. In fact, my wife, Chelsea, loves to carry around a little bit of lavender and tea tree oil in her purse. So if we go into a public restroom, you know, rather than using the chemicals in their hand sanitizer, we use a little bit of tea tree oil or lavender oil because those are natural antimicrobials. It's the same thing. My wife and I both use essential oils for our shampoo. In fact, I have a recipe in my book for a rosemary oil hair thickening shampoo. I've got recipe for a lavender body lotion and a cleaning product using cinnamon essential oil and lemon oil. So again, the great thing is it's not that we shouldn't do these, it's not that we shouldn't be sanitary, it's that we're going overboard with antibiotics and should be using natural products that have essential oils in them.
And essential oils are great for so many things. I know you mentioned a few of the items that we can use them for, but they're really great for just our health and well-being. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's the most ancient form of medicine. And in my book, Eat Dirt, I get into how to use essential oils, the best ones for different conditions. And, frankincense oil is an oil that's anti-inflammatory, so it's good for arthritis and it's good for boosting the immune system. You have essential oils like lavender and chamomile, which are great for relaxation and reducing stress on the body. And you have herbs and oils like peppermint, which actually have been shown to help support your digestion and even relieve muscle pains and headaches. So there's a lot of different uses medicinally for essential oils.
Well, doctor, I'm on board with the essential oils. I used peppermint this morning for a headache and it worked like a charm.
Fasting also has a profound effect upon immunity. So we talked about when the body has these demands for protein, demands for fats, it will go to itself to autolysis, or actually eat itself through self-digestion. And one of those areas it eats is white blood cells. So it goes through and it starts cleaning up the old white blood cells. But as it starts to clean the old white blood cells, an enzyme called PKA begins to fall, and it stimulates the production of new white blood cells. So we actually have the old being replaced for the new. But the factor that PKA does that is even more impressive is that it sends a signal to stimulate stem cells throughout the body to duplicate. Now, there's been a lot of research on stem cells. I'm sure many people who are here tonight are privy to what stem cells are and what they're about. When we are in utero, we're just nothing more than a glob of stem cells. And they eventually become whatever we need in the body, whether they're brain cells or liver cells, bone cells, blood cells. What this is saying is that the stimulation and duplication of stem cells occurs during the fasting process. It can actually be utilized for wherever the body needs it, whatever those purposes are. This is potentially one of the keys for longevity.
I think it's excellent advice to do things in group. Would you recommend the same?
Absolutely. That's a huge missing piece, particularly in the type of environments the average American works in, especially if you work at a cubicle or office space. That social part of your life starts to kind of starts to dwindle. Even your family life starts to dwindle. The more hours we work, we get home tired. We're more mentally tired, but that translates into physical tiredness. And it's a real thing. It's not something they're just making up. So absolutely, if you're at work, get up, go talk to a coworker, have lunch together. Those things have such a huge impact on your health, more than gets enough credit than just the exercise and nutrition part. Of course, those are very important as well. But the socialized part of it is huge. I don't know if you've probably heard of the Blue Zones.
Sure,
the big study they did where they located certain countries throughout the world who had populations that lived to 100, but without health issues, not just living.
One of them was in Italy, as a matter of fact.
Was in Italy.
I believe in Sardinia.
Yeah, absolutely. Sardinia, good. And one of the biggest takeaways, other than a lot of the diet, very Mediterranean style diet, a lot of legumes involved in that. But One of the biggest takeaways from that study that they found in common with all those different countries was the social aspect of it.
Absolutely.
There was a very tight-knit group of family and friends that looked after each other, that looked out for each other, that went out for walks together, that gathered together. And that was probably the one single thing that connected all of them as far as health.
They are showing time and time again, it isn't the virus that causes the death. It's the inflammation in the body that causes the death of the individual. Inflammatory cytokine storm, but that's internally, systemically, and that's driven primarily through an IgG immune response. So guess what the the vaccine, the flu vaccine does? It promotes, and if you read the study, it promotes an IgG immune response, increasing the inflammatory response to the influenza virus. Meanwhile, not promoting this IgA immune response through your mucosal membrane. I would rather keep them outside my body, my children's body. But the only way to train this system is through natural infection. So you pump out these proteins, binding to these viruses, neutralizing them, not even allowing them into the body, or the vast majority of them into the body. Where then the IgG immune response would have to take care of them. But this is red and inflammatory. This causes the tissue damage and destruction. Thus, that is exactly why you see increased tissue damage in the lungs and the body of individuals who are vaccinated. Because it suppresses and doesn't activate this mucosal membrane immune system. That's what the vaccine does. When you inject it into their arm, not going through their mucosal membrane.
And what no parents are told when they're giving your child a vaccine, this vaccine will cause swelling of the brain.
They all do.
Every single vaccine causes encephalitis or brain swelling. Yep. Now, how bad that brain swelling gets, it varies.
There's a variety of factors that go into that.
The child's diet, whether the child is being breastfed, whether the child has good flora and fauna in its gut from being breastfed, what the mother's diets are, what the environment is. There are a myriad of factors that can determine how bad the encephalitis or brain swelling will get and how much damage it'll do. But the one thing you can guarantee, and I've done enough autopsies on infants to tell you, there is brain swelling every time you give a vaccination. And there's a real disconnect.
They know that they're toxic. If you look at the ingredients in most vaccines, they almost all still contain thimerosal as a preservative. Even the ones that they said that they took the thimerosal out of, they didn't.
No.
And so they've got aluminum, formaldehyde, mercury, a whole host of
all the good things.
All the good stuff for you. I mean, if in the book I make, it's kind of a funny example. It's not funny, but it's kind of sarcastic. If a parent were to take aluminum, mercury, formaldehyde, and put it on a sandwich with peanut butter and jelly, they'd call in CPS to take the kids from them.
Right.
But if you're a physician wearing a white coat and you have it in a syringe, you're allowed to inject it directly into their bloodstream.
And the real irony is you never develop a natural immunity. There's not one vaccination out there that's good for longer than 7 years.
No.
None.
If you make it 7 years, if you don't die from the vaccine before the 7 years is up.
Or become autistic.
Antibiotic usage causes really more harm than good. We have an amazing part of our body that is actually 70% of our immune system, and that is housed in our gut, in our intestinal tract. So what happens when we take an antibiotic for what we think is a bacterial infection and maybe possibly more of a viral infection, it actually goes and kills off the good, healthy bacteria in our gut.
That's right.
We have to have healthy bacteria. Again, that is our microbiome. That is our immune system. So what it does is it actually kills the healthy bacteria and it destroys it, therefore leading more of a bad bacteria buildup in our gut system. This causes more intestinal permeability, which allows more bacteria, viruses, pathogens to actually cross that membrane and cause diseases like thyroid issues, diabetes, lots of autoimmune conditions, even autism in kids. It decreases our ability for our body to absorb nutrition. So there you have it. There's so much that antibiotics do to our body. And if you think, well, I haven't taken one in a long time, I'm okay, think again.
Yeah, the issue is that conventional meats, so we're talking like beef and chicken, they're traditionally raised with high amounts of antibiotics because, again, they often get sick. So if you're eating beef and chicken and pork, we have to watch out. You might actually be getting antibiotics without actually knowing it. The second thing, of course, is the dairy products and the cheese that comes from these animals also have high amounts of antibiotics in it. So even if you don't think you're taking an antibiotic, chances are you might actually be taking antibiotics, thus weakening your immune system, creating health issues. So we want to give you some tips on how to repair your health and boost your immune system. And so number one is going to be to remove this potential source of antibiotics, and that would be eating clean meats, so grass-fed, free-range, wild-caught. We want to make sure that they are antibiotic-free and that the label actually says free from antibiotics. Number two is, of course, understanding that the best way to boost your immune system is to decrease the viral and bacterial load. And since most of them feed off of sugar, we want you to go as sugar-free as you can. That means also things like grains, so wheat and pasta and rice, because those do turn into sugar. Another thing you can do is to remember, if 70% of your immune system strength is in your intestines, and those are good bacteria, then we want to eat lots and lots of good bacteria. You can take a really high quality probiotic, or you can also make your own probiotics by eating fermented foods, and we have some information below on how to do that. Lastly, what I'm a big fan of is, let's use some natural antibiotics. Think of nature's medicine cabinet, and that's going to be things like oregano oil. It's antiviral, antibacterial, and even antifungal. You can also use coconut oil, which is, again, antibacterial, antimicrobial. So what a great way to boost your immune system.